So a few days ago, I recorded a video on the murder of Renee Good in Minneapolis and the protest music that followed. So sadly, it happened again. On January 24th, Alex Pretti was murdered by ICE agents in Minneapolis. So Alex was an ICU nurse who looked after veterans. And just like Renee Good, he was 37 years old. So I decided I should do a follow-up video to the one that I previously recorded. So as I mentioned in that video, I'm not a political commentator, and that hasn't changed. But I'm going to do a similar approach. Of course, because it's only been a couple of days, there hasn't been a lot of protest songs written about the situation yet. But there has been some response, and there's also been some songs that were written about Renee Good and Ice that I didn't previously include in my other video. So I'll probably touch upon those as well. But like I said, definitely a sad situation. But we'll get right into it. And of course, one of the first things I did when I knew I was going to record this video is I checked to see if Jesse Wells has wrote a song. So at the time of this recording, he has not yet. But of course, there's a good chance that he will. But I was also thinking, and this is something that I think it's worth discussing as well. I sometimes think of course, I don't know, like I can't read Jesse Wells' mind. I don't know what he's thinking. But I sometimes think of how it potentially could be overwhelming the expectation that people have that as soon as a major traumatic news event happens, you're expected to write a song about it. So I could see how that's overwhelming. So I could see where there might be occasions where maybe Jesse Wells thinks he needs a bit more time to process things. Or maybe eventually there's going to be a situation where he's like, I'm going to sit this one out. Like, it can be emotionally overwhelming. Like, I even know, like, from the perspective of someone, like, I'm Canadian and this is an outsider perspective. But I find this whole situation to be emotionally overwhelming. Like my heart goes out to those in Minneapolis, and I think of my American neighbors and what this could all potentially mean to them. So I could see how this could be emotionally overwhelming to someone like Jesse Wells. And at some point, maybe he runs out of the words to express himself. That being said, there's also a good likelihood that he's going to eventually write a song. And maybe even by the time that I post this video, he has wrote a song. So we're gonna mention the first song I'm gonna discuss here, written directly in connection with the murder of Alex Pretti, and it's by Caitlin Cook. So Cook is a singer-songwriter and comedian, but this particular song, there's nothing comedic about it. So this is not satire. This is a very real emotional response to this situation. And basically, it's an additional verse to a song that she wrote about Renee Good. So she wrote a song about Renee Good that I ended up not featuring in my previous video. But yeah, it was a powerful emotional response.
I didn't know you, but I know Minnesota. I know they will go to great lengths in your name. You were just picking your son up from school. Now there's no more you, and everything's changed. Or at least I hope it does.
So similar to what she wrote about Good, Cook expresses the fact how even though she never met Alex, there's a personal connection to him. And she did the same thing with Renee Good. And I think that's something that most of us can relate to, even though we've never met Good and even though we've never met Pretti, our hearts ache for the loss. And as we get to know more about the type of people that they were, that makes us ache for the loss even more.
I didn't know you, but you were a nurse, healing the hurt down at the VA. You biked the mountains, you love me outdoors. You're not here anymore, and everything's changed. At least I hope it does. Something's gotta give.
So the next song we're going to discuss is actually an artist that I did feature in the previous video. So it's Bruce W. Nelson, and the song is There's Joy Among the Ice Tonight, Another Kill. So as mentioned in the previous video, Bruce W. Nelson, he's a country singer who frequently posts satirical songs that deal with political issues. And he actually, like, I featured three that he wrote in connection with Renee Good. And there's been others that he wrote about Donald Trump and I since I posted that video. But this particular song specifically deals with the murder of Alex Pretti. And it's specifically a scathing indictment of the twisted mentality of not just ICE agents, but the twisted mentality of Border Patrol Commander Greg Bavino. Like there's something sick about these individuals that they seem to almost get off on the violence, and there seems to be a certain thrill with the murder of American citizens. So yeah, the song is definitely a powerful satirical tune, and even though it's satirical, it's also mournful at the same time, like it's serious in nature.
There's joy among the ice tonight. Their meal team 6 has made a score. They'd killed only a few before, and Greg Bavino wanted more. His massive insecurity demanded human sacrifice, and just a mother in her car to him simply would not suffice.
So the next song I'm also going to discuss is an artist that I've also previously featured in the other video about Renee Good. And it's an update of the song that he wrote about Renee Good. So the song's called Another Murder in Minneapolis, about, not about, I mean, it's about Alex Pretti, but it's by Curtis Lovejoy. So it's an update of the song that he wrote, Murder in Minneapolis. So Curtis Lovejoy, basically, I describe him as a musical journalist, and he follows the folk broadside tradition of writing about current news events. And basically, another folk tradition that he follows is when you look at the history of folk music and protest music, it's not unusual for folk singer-songwriters to periodically update the lyrics of the songs to make them more evergreen and to make them more current. And that's basically what Curtis Lovejoy does here. So he updates the lyrics to discuss what's taken place with Alex Pretti.
Another murder in Minneapolis, well what did we see? Alex Pretti get between ice and a woman pushed off her feet. He had a phone in one hand, the other up in the air. That's when they started pepper spraying, no threat anywhere. 7 agents put him down, they took a gun from his side. And then it's gun butts and punches until 10 shots fired.
So the next artist I want to mention is Ron Gowell. And I also briefly featured him in my previous video. And Wang Gao is someone that frequently posts like minute-long songs that deal with current events. And he's wrote a couple of songs since the death of Renee Good. So one, it was before the murder of Alex Pretti. So the song was entitled Pale Pointed Fingers. So basically, Wang Gao, he critiques the anti-immigrant rhetoric.
I've been in America for my whole life. Lived in the city and the suburbs so trite. Toured every state multiple times. Never once was an immigrant a problem of mine. I saw them working hard and I saw them being kind. I saw more criminals in the House of White.
But then he also wrote another song that directly deals with Pretty's murder. And he's pretty clear about the fact that it's a murder. And he also addresses the fact that because the same thing happened with Renee Good. There were certain individuals that were trying to read a false narrative. So even though everyone's seen the same videos, they're trying to tell people to reject the evidence that you can see with your own eyes. And there's even a segment of individuals that try to paint a different picture. So there's those that clearly want to say that it was murder, but then there's others that want to say that it was self-defense. And just like Renee Good, there's those that want to paint Alex Pretti as a domestic terrorist. And part of it even has to do with the fact that he did have a concealed weapon, but it's a weapon that he had a permit for, and based on the Second Amendment, he had a legal right. And it's something I'm going to be honest, as a Canadian, I sometimes struggle with American gun culture and this whole Second Amendment thing. But like I said, he had a legal right to it. So the fact that you have people that, under normal circumstances, would defend the Second Amendment, but in this case, they're now saying, why would he have a gun at peaceful protest? It does seem to be a little hypocritical if you're someone who, under normal circumstances, support the Second Amendment. But yeah, that was a song that Wang Gao wrote. So the two songs that he wrote there.
Alex Pretti was an ICU nurse for US veterans. Alex Pretti was confronted while filming Ice Agents. Alex Pretti had a legally concealed gun and a permit. Ice pepper sprayed, took his gun, then shot Alex Pretti dead. Would have happened in reverse if he ever was a threat. A phone captures the truth, a gun makes you forget. So maybe a phone is scarier than a bullet in an ICE agent's head.
So the next song I want to mention, it's actually not directly about the murder of Alex Pretti. It's not even directly about ICE, but I think it resonates in connection with anti-immigration sentiment. And a song that I actually just accidentally stumbled upon just prior to starting to record the video. So the song, it's titled It's Time to Leave by Ren. And I don't know too much about Ren. Like I said, I just discovered her within the past few hours. But according to the Patreon, Ren is from West Virginia. She grew up in a very conservative area as a closeted trans kid. And basically, that even includes Ren came out at 16, was sent to conversion camp, and had to experience a lot of not conversion, because he went to conversion camp, but had to experience a lot of discrimination. And a lot of that discrimination that they faced was part of the genesis of the songwriting. So this particular song, so the song's called It's Time to Leave. This is a history of Ren's family and the experience of the family in America. So it highlights both Ren's Irish and Indigenous heritage, and it highlights discrimination over the years, which includes even a reference to the KKK. And I don't want to overread into Ren's mindset, so I'll apologize if I'm overanalyzing. But the song seems to highlight Ren's frustration with the current political climate, and even like Ren's thinking that maybe it is time to leave. And also based on what I've read about the song, so the minimal information in the YouTube comments and on Patreon, it looks like the song was originally written about 4 years ago, but Ren just decided to fully release it now. But yeah, it's definitely a powerful song that resonates in the current political climate.
And although their skin still grew fairer, they lived in the Ku Klux Klan's terror. They feared losing their farm or their lives to white supremacy.
So another song I want to mention. So the song's called Che Guevara's T-shirt by Alex Stevenson, and it's actually a cover of a song by Richard Shindell. So the song originally appeared on Richard Shindell's 2004 album, Vuletta. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. But yeah, Alex Stevenson, who covered the song, he's a Minnesota content creator who runs the YouTube channel Music Deep Dive. And in his latest video that he posted on his YouTube channel, he discusses the impact that these events were having on him personally. So he posted this video. It was after the murder of Renee Good, but prior to the murder of Alex Pretti. So because he had a desire to want to help as well, he recorded this song, and all proceeds from the download go to the Minnesota Immigrant Rights Action Committee, so the MIRAC. So in the description, I'll post a link both to the Bandcamp download, and for those that want to directly donate, I'll post a link to the MIRAC as well. So like I said, the song was written by Richard Shindell, but this powerful tune tells the story of an Argentine refugee attempting to embark on a new life in the US, only to be apprehended upon arrival. So yeah, the song definitely currently resonates, and it really highlights the humanity of individuals who are often vilified simply for wanting a better life for themselves and their families.
The beauty of the song and the beauty of Richard Shindell's songwriting is that he really paints a very full portrait of this person. You're not just viewing him as this sympathetic, pathetic figure. He's someone where you get a sense of like his background, what his interests are, what he's passionate about, and what and who he loves. And that's really powerful. That's really effective storytelling. And I think that three-dimensional portrait of these folks who are going out here trying to uproot their lives to try to create a better reality for themselves and their family, I think that perspective is important. And it's the type of perspective that if we uplift it might gradually cause some of the more maybe neutral minds in this whole deal to sway the other direction. 6 weeks without a lawyer. On the basis of the evidence, they could keep him there forever. And the guy with the Cuban accent says, "Do you recognize this picture?" And there she is with her long brown hair, and that Che Guevara t-shirt.
So before I conclude the video, I just want to mention one more thing. So basically I'm going to post a couple of clips from Green Day. So the first one is from a recent January 17th performance of their politically charged song Holiday from their 2004 album American Idiot. So that album and the song Holiday was initially written as a scathing indictment of George Bush Jr. and his administration. But the song now resonates. Basically, it's been repurposed as a protest against Donald Trump and his administration. So during this January 17th performance, he dedicated the song to Minnesota, and he specifically took shots at Stephen Miller. And Stephen Miller is someone that I think in many ways he appears to be someone who's heavily involved with basically the administration's policy towards immigration. And he's someone that heavily promotes the anti-immigration rhetoric of the administration. And he's also someone that seems to almost gets off on the acts of violence towards immigrants and even towards those that oppose the efforts of ICE. Like, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but there's almost like he is obviously a sick, vile individual. And at least to me, from my outsider perspective, he almost seems to get off in a sick, twisted way. Like I can just visualize this sick, twisted individual almost getting off to watching the videos of individuals like Renee Good and Alex Pretti being murdered. So yes, they definitely scathingly indict this sick, vile individual. But it's also good to note that Green Day, this is not the first time that they speak out against the Donald Trump administration. And it's not the first time that they speak out against ICE. So quite often when they do perform the song Holiday, they speak out against ICE during that performance.
They're coming in with tanks. They're coming in with federal officers. They're coming in with ICE. Fuck those motherfuckers.
So that concludes the video. So if you're aware of any other songs written about the murder of Alex Pretti or any other anti-ICE songs that you want to highlight, feel free to mention them in the comments. And if you want me to continue to make videos such as this, please like and subscribe. So thanks for watching, and please stay safe.